Hello there, my name is Sixo, but more on that later, as now it's time for a Toy of the Week video. And today we're getting back to nature and exploring one of my personal favourite parts of Transformers history. It's Beast Wars! Yes, the popular 1990s toy line may have been a real shift in dynamic for Transformers back in the day, but it's since become fondly remembered in its own right, and is often credited with having saved the franchise from extinction at the time. Of course, a big part of the line's popularity is down to the accompanying cartoon, which, over the course of 3 seasons, gifted us with well-defined, consistent characters, an intriguing, overarching plot, plenty of action, and a sense of real stakes. All of which means that the mainframe-produced series is often still used as a benchmark for Transformers cartoons even today. Okay, so it had its moments, but on the whole, it's fair to say that the cartoon holds up surprisingly well, even after almost 25 years. That said, it's how the storyline connects to the wider Transformers universe that a lot of people often remember. Spoiler alert before we continue. You see, after some fairly obvious Season 1 nods, and even the occasional cameo all serving to let us know that Beast Wars is set thousands of years after Generation 1, the story underwent a major twist in the second year, revealing that the Maximals and Predacons had actually crash-landed on prehistoric Earth, and that Megatron had purposely uncovered the dormant arc from the original storyline, which of course contained all of the offline Autobots and Decepticons. It's a major rug pull that in many ways wouldn't work if it was done in a contemporary Transformers cartoon, but back then it created a huge amount of intrigue about the show and firmly established that Beast Wars isn't actually separate from Generation 1, but rather it's part of G1 continuity itself. I guess you could say that it's not a case of truck or monkey, it's truck and monkey. Aww. Perhaps it's for this reason that there's so much buzz about Beast Wars characters returning for War for Cybertron Kingdom, with Maximals, Predacons, Autobots and Decepticons all rubbing shoulders in one toy line. We don't know much, if anything, about the accompanying storyline just yet, but that concept artwork is certainly intriguing to say the least. Then of course there's a new Beast Wars comic from IDW on the horizon too, which looks really exciting indeed. Coming in 2021 to mark the 25th anniversary of the original Beast Wars, the new comic also looks like it's going to be a bit of a fresh take on an already familiar storyline, and is boasting some epic artwork from the very talented Josh Burcham. One thing that certainly caught the eye of a lot of fans online is the Bat character, who will apparently be a newly created female Maximal named Nyx. What's really interesting is that despite the creators confirming that it's not an intentional homage, Nyx seems to bear a strong resemblance to the Bat Optimus Primal toy from 1996, which has sort of been a bit forgotten about over the years since the cartoon decided on using the Gorilla version instead. Of course, there was also a BotCon exclusive repaint of this design, which was named Onyx Primal, and was released in 1996. Wait, Onyx, Nyx, Onyx, Nyx, Onyx, Nyx. Coincidence? Anyway, it's really exciting to see what IDW are cooking up, especially as we've also seen some stunning artwork reimagining the Crocodile Megatron toy that was released in a 2-pack alongside that original Optimus Primal design. Yes, it could have all been quite different, as these versions of the characters were actually the ones featured in the very first bit of Beast Wars fiction we ever saw, that being a rather beautifully drawn comic that was packed in alongside the toys. Now in this storyline, it's heavily implied that Optimus and Megatron are actually the very same characters as their G1 namesakes, instead of being their descendants, which surely would have set things on a very different path if this idea had been adopted for the cartoon. So there's a real bit of curiosity about these characters, and it will be fascinating to see what IDW do with them. For today though, we're going back to where it all began and taking a look at those very same toys. Here is Beast Wars Optimus Primal and Megatron in all their vintage 2-pack glory. The Optimus Primal vs Megatron 2-pack was the very first release of the Beast Wars line in 1996, ushering in a bold new direction for the Transformers franchise at the time. These two are reimagined versions of the traditional leaders from the original toy line, although now represented in new animalistic form. The amusingly named Optimus Primal is now a blue and grey bat, which was quite a departure for a design that had only ever been known as a truck up until this point. Megatron is similarly overhauled with a new crocodile design, although in some ways at least retains his familiar Generation 2 green and purple colour scheme. Overall though, they're physically very dissimilar to their classic namesakes, with the head designs being the main physical cue to tie them to the toys of yore. As basic class releases, these figures are certainly small, but are sporting a number of gimmicks and integrated features that make them a lot of fun overall. In common with the rest of the basic assortment at the time, they both transform primarily using a flip changer gimmick, activated by pulling on their tails. After this, you're left with a few simple adjustments to get them to robot mode. Being able to so easily convert them between modes makes them ideal in terms of inherent play value, upping the fun factor considerably. They also both feature weapon storage, with Optimus Primal's dual swords stowing away inside his beast mode wings. For Megatron, that mighty cannon is made up of his crocodile tail, which can be unpegged and tabbed in hand during transformation. They're also notable for having articulated jaws in their beast modes, providing a small dash of animalistic posability to the proceedings. Overall, there's a lot of charm inherent in this 2-pack release, so much so that it remains one of my personal favourite parts of the vintage Beast Wars line. These two may have been overshadowed by their cartoon counterparts in the years since, but there's still something so striking about these original takes on the characters. Perhaps what's most intriguing about them is the corresponding fictional take, with the accompanying comic depicting them in full artistic flair. It seems to hint that these toys are actually the same Optimus and Megatron that we already knew from the original Transformers line, now with new biogenetic morphing technology, OBS. It's a simple and quick tale, but remains a window onto a bizarre micro-continuity all of its own, completely separate from the popular Beast Wars cartoon. Perhaps for that reason alone, the comic manages to make these toys even more fascinating than they already were, as though they're a relic of what might have been. There was also a repainted version of this set released in Japan, which repurposed the toys with new colour schemes intended to represent the classic characters a little better. And there have been other uses of the moulds, such as the well-known BotCon release of Onyx Primal, and an unreleased exclusive white crocodile known as Albatron. For many though, the real appeal remains in this original 2-pack set, which kicked off what a lot of fans still see as one of the best bits of Transformers overall. Perhaps that's why, even though these toys aren't as well known as the Gorilla and T-Rex versions today, there's still something quite remarkable about them all the same. So I think it's really interesting to consider how different everything could have been if the Beast Wars cartoon picked up on the idea of Optimus Primal and Megatron being the same characters we'd known in the original Transformers fiction. Would it have been as popular and long-lasting as it became? Would a show about a bat and a crocodile have been quite as engaging? And would we now be seeing new toys based on these designs in the way that we have with the Gorilla and T-Rex versions? I guess we'll never know, but it's fun to speculate all the same, especially with so many new interpretations of the classic Beast Wars storyline on the horizon. In any case, the new War for Cybertron Kingdom toys are shaping up very nicely indeed, and are available to pre-order from TFSource now, so I'll go ahead and put a link to their site in today's video description. Otherwise, that's it from me, so enjoy the rest of your day. TTFN.